oftentimes when we're trying to do hard things, we'll be really hard on ourselves and we won't even attempt them. And so when we're trying to get directions of our life and move forward, like being an entrepreneur or trying something new, we don't even try things because we tell ourselves we can't do it. But oftentimes we actually have the skills and know-how and just forget it. And we're not very good at reminding ourselves, hey, we're good at some stuff. And this isn't even braggy, it's just acknowledging the truth and being super self-aware. All right, in this video I'm going to talk about anxiety and some of the big things that I've been able to do in my life to be able to help that anxiety. Truthfully, I still struggle with it, but I had it way worse a few years back, mostly as an entrepreneur, as a founder, even as a founder of a multi-million-dollar business that had thousands of employees. I really dealt with it, and truthfully, it ended up putting me in the hospital a couple of times. And so I'm going to talk about some of the things that basically I've went through my journey and the things that actually have helped me to escape out of that. And if you guys don't know me, my name is Trenton Hughes, former co-founder of a couple different businesses that reach multi-millions in sales, 1,000+ employee company in helpware. Now I invest in businesses as well under Unfounded Ventures, and do all kinds of different investments there. So at this point, I'm just trying to help other entrepreneurs. I've struggled with a lot of different things in my entrepreneurship journey, and so I want to help other entrepreneurs to realize you're not alone. You're probably going through a lot of the same stuff. And if not, that's okay. But want to make sure that I can just be someone to help you along the way. So talking about anxiety, I've had it for a while. I think I realized as a kid, I probably started to have it. Truthfully, I was probably one of the quietest kids in school, really quickly labeled as shy. What in reality was probably happening is actually just fear, and maybe that's underlying things about shyness, but fear. I grew up in a household that wasn't super supportive. If I did wrong things, oftentimes there was punishment and there was different things that happened, and so it wasn't the healthiest of places to grow up necessarily. And so that translated into school where I was just shy and afraid to speak up, afraid to put myself out there. Here later, ended up being an entrepreneur and having success, and I don't think most people would have expected that. But even through that journey, definitely always have felt anxiety and have felt a little bit nervous when talking to people and social anxiety and things. What's interesting about it is that although I've had social anxiety, I've turned into a pretty darn good salesperson. And I think that me being anxiety or having anxiety has driven a lot of relatability with other people. And I think most people want to relate to someone that's just a little bit more normal and down to earth, and that they can understand that might be going through stuff. And so that has actually translated pretty well into sales, into building businesses, into even leadership, because I can try to relate to people a lot more than maybe other people who might come off across as knowing what they're doing a bit more. And so truthfully, some of the anxiety as a entrepreneur and as a business person came because I felt this need to act like I knew what I was doing, especially as my company was growing. I was a co-founder with one other co-founder. I was the CXO of that company, and we had a big team. Truthfully, we had hundreds of people, and it was growing super fast. And a lot of the people were even older than me. And so I wanted to put on this image where I felt like, hey, I know what I'm doing, and I'm leading you guys in this direction. And what ended up happening is that I kept feeling more and more anxiety and just not true to myself as I was doing that. Um, and I didn't feel like I could tell anyone because I felt like I needed to portray this image out to everyone, including family and friends. And I don't think I had a lot of friends that were entrepreneurs. So it was difficult, truthfully. What ended up happening was all kinds of health issues. And I ended up in the hospital 2 different times. The first time was some sort of food poisoning that essentially led to a panic attack while I was in the hospital, and then me essentially crying and throwing up for 4 straight days. It was crazy because I'd never had a panic attack like that before. And there were just a lot of things that caught up to me. And I felt like, wow, I'm running a million miles an hour. I'm trying to be this person, and I can't talk about it to anyone. And so one of the first things that really helped to unlock this was talking about it finally and admitting, hey, I'm going through some stuff. I'm human. And although I have multi-million-dollar businesses and success and doing big things, I'm still a human and I'm going through things and I don't know what I'm doing. As a young founder, most of us as entrepreneurs don't necessarily know what we're doing. And just people in general, we don't know what we're doing. No one has it figured out. And I feel like a lot of people portray that they do, and maybe they do more than others, but no one fully does. And I think that that's one thing that's comforting. But being able to just talk to people and let them know, at least the first step of that is that you no longer have to put on this image and that you can just be real and you can be authentic. Because when we're authentic, we'll just feel most at peace and natural with ourselves. I ended up making some changes, and ultimately, about a year later, I had almost a similar experience in the hospital again in another panic attack. And that time was really bad. Truthfully, I was on the verge of death, mostly just because of the situation I was in the hospital. But I was lucky to make it out. I woke up from a surgery and was lucky to be out alive. And I told myself at that point, all right, I'm going to make some real changes this time, and I'm going to actually try to be mindful about this. And so I ended up selling that business later. Truthfully, I had a bit of an existential crisis where I moved across the country and dove into every self-help book known to man, a lot of podcasts, and just everything on this topic, from people like Tony Robbins to Mel Robbins to books on Buddhism and all kinds of spirituality books and just different things that I wanted to learn and see if I could figure this out better. And I went to therapy and just started living more authentically. And it wasn't some quick journey, truthfully, to figure it out. And in fact, I almost got too much information because there were just so many different perspectives. It's all really helpful in the long run. But what I needed to do was really try to figure out like what was core to me and core to how I wanted to be living. And so I came across one book called Miracle Morning. Sounds hokey. It was a really cool book about creating these morning routines that help you to ground yourself. And it was really helpful. It talks about reading and exercising and just mindfulness and meditation and different things. And so I implemented that. And truthfully, it was super helpful. I credit a lot of my even later success. Afterwards, we ended up co-founding another business and it reached multi-millions. Now I invest in businesses and we've reached millions pretty quickly. So I think that a lot of the success in life comes from embracing now some of these routines that essentially help me to ground myself, especially when I'm feeling that anxiety run out of control or feeling like depression creep in or any of these different things that are just natural emotions that we go through. So Miracle Morning was great. But what I found was that at the end of the day, I was still dealing with anxiety and I was still dealing with a lot of this stuff. And I don't really know how I discovered this. I think there's just the culmination of all these different techniques and things that I've learned kind of came together. And I just told myself one night, all right, I'm going through it. What do I need in this moment? And it came to me that I needed to do a few different things. And so I did them in a succession of 6 different steps. And those 6 different steps ended up being a routine that I have now done every single night from there on out. So we're talking 2 or 3 years. And I just can't explain the amount of peace that I have from it. Of course, I still go through anxiety, but I go to sleep without having to worry about a bunch of different things. I feel more fulfilled because I'm doing certain things differently. And I just feel like I'm more on top of where my direction is going now. And I just feel grateful to have discovered this sort of 6 things. And of course, now I look back and I'm like, I research a lot of them and they're all backed by science. And there's reasons why they work together in such ways. I don't know why it came to me that these were the things I needed that night, but they tended to be the things I need almost every night. And I feel grateful to have them. So let me tell you what they are real fast. First thing, reading. Might be simple. Maybe you guys already do some sort of reading at night, but a lot of us just don't make time for it. It's really hard to make time to read. And I have all kinds of different interests. And so sometimes I want to read fiction books just to escape, and sometimes I want to read stuff to learn. And so making time to read, even if it's 1 minute, just a page or two, is better than nothing. And it gets your mind open to the possibilities of other perspectives and gets your mind open to possibilities of new worlds and ideas. And so that's the step 1, is to kind of broaden your horizons with reading. Again, you don't have to do it for very long. Just a few minutes is plenty. Number 2 is stretching. A lot of us already work out, and maybe you don't and probably should. But stretching does 2 things. Number 1, it helps you to preserve your body and to stay limber and hopefully helps with the aging process. Number 2, it gets you present and it actually puts you into your body, because a lot of us are dissociating. We're on our phones all day long. We're constantly in our heads thinking, and we're not actually present and taking some breathing. And so stretching is one of the best things that you could possibly do. And I just didn't make time for it. I'd go to the gym all the time and would never stretch. And yet when I go to yoga, I would love it. And so that stretching, you can do that every night. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. I like to do face pulls and just different things to work on posture and just mobility. And so I do that really quickly, but it gets you present in your body. The number 3 thing is self-compassion. This is probably the hardest thing that it came to do. I think a lot of us are just hard on ourselves. It's a survival instinct where we want to preserve, and so we want to be hard on ourselves because we don't want other people to be hard on ourselves. So we do things to try to prevent that from happening. But the reality is, if you read all these different parenting books, one of the most essential human needs is connection and compassion. And if we can't experience compassion ourselves, to ourselves, then we probably aren't going to experience it from other people. It's always going to be conditional. And so you're going to be chasing, hey, can I receive that compassion from someone else? And you're never going to feel good enough unless you get it from someone else. But the reality is, if you want to feel good today, you need to have it today. And the only way you're going to do that is from yourself. And you have to give yourself that grace. And so compassion just looks like thinking about maybe an older version of yourself that's been there and done that, and now has maybe lived life and is more fulfilled. And they're just there with you, and they're like, hey, I'm here with you. You're going through a lot. Good for you for doing all this stuff. Good for you for trying. Things are hard. I'm here. Maybe this is a relative that you could think of, that you had a compassionate relative in your life. Maybe if they passed, you can think about them. Maybe it's just you currently telling your current self, hey, we're going through a lot. It's all right. Whatever it is, that compassion is going to be that unlock that allows you to finally feel fulfilled and okay, and you have the skills and know how to do what you're doing, and that everything you're doing is just normal. You're just going through it. The number four thing leads right into that, which is a skills reminder. Oftentimes, when we're trying to do hard things, we'll be really hard on ourselves and we won't even attempt them. And so when we're trying to get directions of our life and move forward, like being an entrepreneur or trying something new, we don't even try things because we tell ourselves we can't do it. But oftentimes we actually have the skills and know-how and just forget it. And we're not very good at reminding ourselves, hey, we're good at some stuff. And this isn't even braggy. It's just like acknowledging the truth and being super self-aware. So for me, I'm a good problem solver. I'm good at getting out in nature. I'm good at figuring things out and researching things. I have to remind myself, hey, I'm trying to do hard things. I have these skills that have worked in the past that'll work in the future, and I will figure it out. And I think that for you, what skills are those? And it's a quick skills reminder. Again, all these different things, I'd probably write them down because you're gonna have 6 things you do every night. But it's good to come back to, number one, the self-compassion, write out a self-compassion statement that even if you're not feeling it that day, you can at least come back to it. And number two, write that skills list so you can just remind yourself, hey, I've got these skills. I'm gonna be all right. Like, I can do these hard things. The number 5 thing is values. I think a lot of us are living in this life where we're trying to achieve goals. And when we're constantly goals focused, we're on this hedonic treadmill where we're running and always trying to chase after that new thing, and nothing's good enough. It lasts for a quick second, and then we want that next new thing, which is honestly, a lot of it's just comparison against other people. And that is going to cause even more anxiety. And so when we're living these lives of goals and things that we don't have currently, we're constantly going to feel like we don't have enough and that we're not enough. And in reality, what we need to do is start to live our values. And so a lot of these books, one of the common things I saw across all these self-help books is that they talked about values. And it started to hit me like, values are what we should be living. They're how you fulfill yourself day to day. Now, most of us aren't even in touch with what our values are. So how to get in touch with your values? Think about yourself as an 85-year-old person. You're getting closer to your deathbed. And now you look back on your life and you think about all the different things that were meaningful to you and that you want to look back on fondly and that were important to you. And so for me, I look back and I'm like, I wanted to be surrounded by family. I wanted to be around a community that I was a part of and I was contributing to. I wanted to help people. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to be authentic. I want to constantly improve myself. These are different things that I constantly want to do. And these are my values that are core to me. And so you write down your 6 values or 7 values, whatever they are, of what's important to you in your life. Maybe it's creativity. Maybe it's, I don't know, being in nature. I don't know what it could be. Maybe it's even success. And then every night you're going to come back to them real quick and just say, how did I incorporate this value into my life? And this is, if you don't have in your life, put little tiny things into your life. So if helping others is one of yours, like at the grocery store, do the roundup to charity. Something small, it's 10 cents, 15 cents, or whatever it might be, where you can help others in small ways. But maybe it's you going out and trying to talk to someone, or neighbor, and doing something for them. If it's having fun, 5 minutes to listen to your favorite song and dance to it, or going out to eat somewhere, or I don't know, whatever it might be, playing a game. Do little fun things in your life, but think about the different fun things that you did, or the things that are along those values that you did in that day, and just reflect on them quickly. I did all these different things. It's gonna make you feel more fulfilled because you're gonna realize, hey, I lived my values today, even if it's small. And then the bigger part to this is start to think through, what in my future do I want these values to look like? In a bigger vision, what does it mean? So for helping others, maybe I want to create some sort of charity. And that means I need to start taking little tiny steps, step by step. And so each of those values, start to think about what I do during the day, and then where do I want them to go? And that is going to help you to ground and feel much more fulfilled and aligned with yourself because you're living those values. Number 6, the lead up to all these different things, they're helping you to get present. They're helping you to get to this last state, which is gratitude. Gratitude is really hard to tap into because you have to be present. You have to be mindful. You have to get out of the anxiety state. Gratitude is the antidote to anxiety. And so one of the things that you can do with gratitude is all these steps beforehand to set yourself up for it perfectly. You don't want to just recite off things, but it is going to be helpful for you to write down some of the things you are grateful for so you can come back to them if you're having a hard time getting into gratitude. Because honestly, when you are in anxiety or anger or fear or any of these things, it's going to be really hard to get into it. But gratitude, tapping in and just asking yourself, what am I grateful for? What experiences did I have that I was grateful for? What people do I have? What experiences in nature? Where do I live? Am I happy to be there? What are the places I've been able to go see? Who are the friends that I was able to have in my life that I'm grateful for? Whatever it is to you, come back to it every single night. And so that's the sixth step. When you do all these in succession, you're going to start to feel a lot more relieved. You're going to have reflected on your day. You're going to be more present. You're going to have learned. You're going to have touched your values and remind yourself you can do different things that are hard and that you're just going through it because you're a human. You're going to feel a lot more relief. And ending your day strong is actually, I'd argue, more important than beginning your day strong, because you need to end it in a way that allows you to stay centered and grounded and get good sleep, but also to set yourself up for the future. And so this, I call it the power night. I don't really know what to brand it as at this point. I'm going to keep doing it. And if it's helpful to you, I'd love to hear any feedback or comments you have on it. If you're going through anxiety and depression or anything, especially as an entrepreneur, you're definitely not alone. It's hard. We're all going through it. And different of us have different journeys that we're on. I'm definitely still on one, but I'm feeling a lot more resolved than I was, I'll tell you that. So hopefully this is helpful. If it was, drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any other topics you want to see, let me know. Thank you.